Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario.
And Dope's winner.
And Happy New Year, Daniel.
Happy New Year to you, Mr. Mario. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, this first episode, episode 13, unlucky episode of ModChat. And the first one, 2016.
2016. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying, like, is there, but you said usurp. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Why are you not talking? Like, what's going on here?
No, I didn't understand it first, so I was trying to kind of process that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, ModChat, I'm excited about this because we finally, got in front of our mics now. We're able to talk, get this episode done and everything. But, we've officially been doing ModChat for over a year. So it wasn't really the 12th episode I was excited for. It was more the 13th one because I wanted to do this for over a year.
Yeah, now it's official, so now we can stop.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God, no. We got so much more to talk about. So many things.
I'm just messing.
Yeah, so, it's definitely been fun. Thank you guys for and girls for all the support and everything. It's been very much appreciated, and we definitely, we do this episode, we do these episodes in this podcast for you all, because we still want to provide some type of modding content, so that's why we're here, and that's why we're homies.
It's pretty cool when you see all of the episodes together and you're like, wow, oh yeah, because it's not just like one or two, like, damn, there's 12 of these things now.
Exactly. No, because I see a lot of people, they'll do, like an episode or two, and then like it's done. I'm just like, that was good. That was good. Why did you stop?
I do that. I feel like that's the story of my life. Start things and then just get all hyped and then stop.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, but rest in peace to your thing where you want to upload every day of the year.
Yeah, it didn't happen. It lasted, what, like 2 weeks?
It lasted about 2 weeks. I'll give you that, but dude, that was tough.
It was, dude, honestly, like 2 weeks in, I was like, fuck. Like, it got to the point where I'm like, I was at work and I was just tired and I was like, there's just no way I can go home right now and like come up with the content and like be excited about it. It sounded good, but
exactly, because
oh god,
yeah, that's the thing too. Because I produce a lot of content, but I even thought of it as well. I was like, if I want to, I could upload every day, but my content would be a lot shittier. Yeah. So I'm not going to upload every day, and also it's pretty much I would have to worsen my content, and I would have to take the fun out of life.
Yeah, so that's why. Basically, those two things right there were just like, I'd rather just do. I can still do a lot, but. It's just there's no way, dude, to do a video every day. Like, it's one thing.
Daniel, I'm telling you, every 2 or 3 days, man. Every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. If everyone was okay with just like me doing whatever I wanted to, that'd be one thing. But it's like I know everyone wants like something that's interesting to watch, so it's like it just doesn't make sense, man.
Of course.
So
yeah, hey, dude, I'll say this: even the big YouTubers, they don't do daily. Like some of them do daily, but there's also a lot of them that do like 5 days a week. They treat it like a job.
That's true.
Yeah, but also those guys make enough so they can do it full time. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, dude. Like, if I didn't have work or any other obligations in life, like that, it wouldn't be that hard to come up with solid content.
Exactly.
Once a day. It really wouldn't be.
Exactly.
So.
But yeah, so before we get into the topic here, I also just want to. Oh God, the taste. Like I want to go ahead and put it out here that I did take NyQuil right before we started recording this because I'm getting a little bit sick. So if I'm loopy, if I'm acting odd, you all know why.
Yeah, so we're hoping that we get to see drunken Mario.
I don't think it's enough to get drunk, but it's enough. Right now, it's just the aftertaste in my mouth is just so bad.
I'm trying to remember what it even tastes like, dude. Like,
it tastes like mint ass. That's what it tastes like.
Okay. Okay, I can picture that mint ass.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, today we have, after that, 4 or 5 minute intro there, however long that was, we have a smorgasbord here of topics we want to talk about, which I know if you follow myself, I've covered, a good amount of them, at least on 3DS side, and if you've covered Daniel, like if you follow Daniel's stuff, you've made some videos over these, like the news topics, haven't you?
Yeah, just briefly.
Yeah. But no, there's been, man, if you own Nintendo systems this generation and you're a modder, these scenes have been on fire this year. So it's been a very good start to the beginning of the year.
Yeah, the last, I'd say week or so of the 2015, kind of a lot of stuff was just out of nowhere, basically.
Yeah, it's been insane. What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about 3DS? You want to talk about Wii U?
Well, I'd say because the PS4, like, I definitely know a decent amount about, kind of ish. So I'd rather you start off with the 3DS and the Wii U, since you've made tutorials and you've or at least with the 3DS, you've done tutorials and you just like know a lot about it. So let's get with those.
Okay. Well, how about we do a sandwich? How about 3DS and then PS4 and then Wii U?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, awesome. See, we compromise right there. So for anyone that doesn't know, now the Nintendo 3DS, it's an excellent handheld, and I'm still amazed that this thing has done as well as it has, because like I mean, really, at the time it came out, and for what it is, I don't think it really was supposed to succeed. But somehow Nintendo was able to get some great games on there. They were able to market it properly, price it just right, and it's done really well. And it's one of the best-selling handhelds ever. But it's also been really awesome to see Homebrew on it. Now we've seen a few things where, for example, there was some old Homebrew that was released and it never, well, not released. It was shown but never really came out. But the Gateway, so the Gateway 3DS, it was a flash cart it was limiting. You had to have a certain system with a certain firmware, and once you had that, so I remember, for example, my 3DS, I was stupid, and for some reason, I still don't know why. I really don't know why. My very first one, I just felt the need to update it, and because I was told that the Gateway 3DS would be fine, and my first 3DS was on firmware 5, and the Gateway 3DS, when it was announced, it was on firmware 4.5. Yeah, and oh my god, I was so mad at myself for that. So I was one of the people who I pre-ordered the Gateway. I got it when it first came out, and I couldn't even use it because I didn't have an exploitable system, and none of my friends did.
Did they announce that it was going to be usable on 5, or no? You just like word like rumor had it was going to be able to be used on 5.
At the time, they said that it was going to work on all firmwares, which the latest firmware at the time was like 4.5, and then 5.0 came out, and they said that it's going to still work on all of them. And then when it officially came out, they said that it's only going to work on up to 4.5, but we have something in the works. We are working on getting the system running on 5.0, which, as we know, it didn't get working until 9.2 came out.
Yeah, which is quite a while.
Exactly. So it was quite similar to having a modified or jailbroken PS3 in a way, where if you have a PS3 that can either be downgraded to 3.55 or it's running 3.55 or lower, you can play. Play Homebrew and all that, and you have access to a bunch of other things. But if you have a certain type of PS3 that can't be downgraded, or you don't know how to downgrade your system, you can't find anyone to, and it's past 3.55 or 3.56. You can't do anything.
Yeah. So you're talking again with the Gateway.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's pretty much the same way it was with the Gateway. It's like, if you could find a 3DS on 4.5 or lower, you were golden. But if you weren't, well, tough luck. You're just gonna have to wait it out. So that was Gateway is still an awesome card. It really is. I love the features that it had on there. It started out very basic, but then they brought Homebrew to it. They brought menus. They brought a lot of other things. It was really a nice, easy to use, robust software, and even EMU NAND, they brought in that stuff. But the thing is, again, you had to find, one, an exploitable system, and two, you had to find you had to buy the card, which the card itself is like $90 or $100, which a lot of people did not want to do. So then what ended up happening was, later on, they ended up releasing a 9.2 exploit, which for that you had to essentially use your browser. I think you just utilized a browser or anything like that, because I don't remember how you installed. I think you had to use like an entry point. So you need to use an internet entry point of some kind, is what I'm trying to say, to crash your system to use 9.2. And then from there, they're able to refine it even more. But even when that first came out, the more logical thing was to use the exploit on 9.2 and then downgrade your system to 4.5, because that way you could use an offline exploit in the Nintendo DS profile emulator that was on there. But now, just recently, as of the time we're recording this, I'm waiting right now. Everyone is just waiting for the inevitable time where Nintendo is going to release their next firmware. That could be today, that could be tomorrow, that could be 2 weeks from now. We don't know. But at this current time, like while we're recording this, 10.3 is the latest firmware on the 3DS, and it is exploitable in a way where you can boot up into Homebrew Launcher, and you could do some limited Homebrew on there. But the most important thing is it works on every single system, and you can downgrade every single 3DS variant to 9.2.
So at 9.2, you were always able to downgrade back to 4.5, though?
No.
Okay, I didn't get that.
You can downgrade the 3DS and the 3DS XL, I believe, but the 2DS and the new 3DS and new 3DS XL, you cannot downgrade those lower.
Okay, even with the current tools? Because I remember it's saying that you should caution, like, wait until it's...
Well, the thing is, you need a NAND dump for those, and there was never a NAND dump that existed for the 2DS below 9.0, I want to say.
Got you.
So it's just like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but there's never been a official way of running 4.5, anything lower than 9.0 on a 2DS. And then the same thing echoes that really with the new 3DS systems.
So there's a chance that it could break it.
Very high chance, of course, because it's like, well, the 2DS, it's going to use it uses a it uses the same firmware really as the original 3DS systems, but it's changed a few ways. Like it says 2DS in certain ways and all, and it doesn't have 3D capabilities and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's different ways that it works out, but I just remember a lot of people were saying, they couldn't. And if anybody wants to prove me wrong, I mean, please do, as long as you can cite your source. But from what I remember, when I first made my downgrade tutorial from 9.2 to 4.5, people were saying you could not do the 2DS.
Got you. Okay, because I do remember reading that in an article as well. And like you're saying, if there never was a firmware that existed that version, then it would make sense that there's either some kind of already like check set up where if it tries to go below a certain point it just couldn't because it's not meant to, or just because it's not actually made for that somehow there'd be some sort of an error basically.
It's quite similar to how what is set up. It's again, I'm going to reference a PS3 again right here because with those systems, if you can downgrade your system, you can only downgrade a system to 3.55 if the original firmware on it was 3.55 or lower. If your original firmware on that PS3, like when it first shipped and came off the factory, was like 4.0, you cannot ever downgrade it to anything lower than that.
Okay, which makes sense again though.
Yeah, it's just something that's in there. And some people might say, oh, well, you can still flash it. Like these versions are going to be the same and all that. And it's like, well, technically they are, but that's kind of not how it works. So it's not the same, but yeah.
Well, I mean, there could be ways where someone can, I guess, potentially tweak the firmware a little bit, but again, like you said too, it wouldn't really be the same.
Yeah, I mean, we could even simplify it like this. It's like the 3DS is version 1, 3DS XL version 2, 2DS version 3, versions 1, versions 2, those are designed to run those older firmwares. Version 3 was never designed in mind to run that older firmware, therefore you cannot run an older firmware on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's simple enough to understand.
Exactly. I try that's what I try and do, man. I try and just simplify things for the viewers.
For the viewers.
For the viewers. Yeah, but no. So that happened. So 9.2, it's been the main thing, and a lot of people are wondering. They're just like, well, because here's the thing, man. So first off, the downgrader came out, and there was bricks galore because a lot of people were bricking their systems, and the first downgrader was more dangerous to use because even this is my educated guesstimate right here, right? But from what I saw, the downgrader at first, like the first variant of this that came out, it would install your native firmware first, and then it would install all the other CIA files that are kind of like the parts and partitions of the firmware itself that run on the system. And there were people that weren't installing them right. There were also people that were installing new 3DS dumps on the old 3DS and vice versa. So a lot of people were messing that up too. But what happened was also the program is just quite unstable as well. So there were also other issues there. But then, because it was made by Tush, I want to say, which his name is spelled like Tuxsh. But then I think Julian20 took his firmware and ended up modifying it. And now there's even SafeSys Updater, which they add in extra checks and everything. They're still kind of, unbalanced and unstable and everything. But point being is you can now somewhat safely downgrade the newer systems, and downgrading would be a bit safer than it was prior.
Got you. When it comes to the 3DS scene, because I know that I made a video on a game that was being developed homebrew called Haxer, which I thought was pretty cool that someone actually, went out and created a game. Although there is other, homebrew games, but I feel like that's not nearly as common of a thing. Is there a lot of other stuff that from what you've seen in the 3DS like homebrew department that's coming up because of it all? Like things that are...
Dude, there's been things that have been out for a while, but there's a ton of emulators on there. Of course, we saw Windows 95 through DOSBox on there that runs through RetroArch.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was
really neat.
That was hilarious. I loved seeing that. There was that. There's also, some other games as well, too, like 2048 got ported over. Of course, Duke Nukem got ported over. Quake got ported over. Smealum a while ago, this one of his oldest projects, but he did, 3DS Craft as well. So there's plenty of other things, but most people are going to do it so they can install, games onto the system itself and everything through CIA files and install other type of applications and even modify their games.
Yeah. Yeah, I just that's cool though, because I just again was thinking that hopefully since the 3DS consoles are still like the current handheld for Nintendo and stuff like that, that maybe there'd be like the scene hopefully will be at least active for a while with people developing and progressing and making extra tools and stuff like that, just like with the 360, how there was like constantly different things coming out, like applications and stuff, or at least the I guess like the OG Xbox had more shit, but Either way, my doorbell's so
Who's
ringing.
home?
The whole family.
Yeah, but no, it's kind of one of those things. A lot of people, they don't, and this is understandable. A lot of people don't want to do the downgrade right now because they're like, oh, I don't want to brick my system. It's really unstable. It keeps freezing. And that's actually why I waited so long. I waited like a week to do my new 3DS downgrade video because I could not get mine to downgrade for the longest time. Then I was finally able to do it because that downgrade, honestly, it's a bitch to use sometimes because it just freezes all the time and it's just really unstable. But honestly, I'll put it like this. I've been through a lot of other scenes. I've seen very early proof of concepts like this branch out into really stable, awesome exploits, kind of like the reset glitch hack, for example. So I say give this like 2 months, and we're going to have something much more stable.
Well, didn't you say too when you were doing it that like basically one of your 3DSs, if it broke, you're like whatever, like because like you like going into it maybe thinking that you might lose lose a 3DS.
Yep, I bought a 2DS for like $30, and that is my guinea pig system. So any modifications I do on that first, and I do multiple times, so I make sure I don't brick the system because I don't really care about the 2DS. And the 2DS to me, it's my guinea pig system really at this point because I have a new 3DS and I have two old 3DSs. All of them are XLs, and I have the 2DS, which I care about the least, and it was the cheapest one. So it's like, well, if it bricks, what? I made a few videos with it, and I'm out like $30.
Random question. What do you think about the 2DS? Because like I saw it and I was like, oh, this looks like I don't know.
It
Man.
looks like a piece of toast.
It's to me, it's like what the fuck. Like I mean, I would still probably get one for the sake of just having one, I guess. But I don't think like would you ever play a game on it or not really? I mean, it's
not
just,
really. It's to me, honestly, it's a nice cheap alternative. There are some games though that would be better in 3D or might even require 3D for certain puzzles, so you're going to miss out on that. So some games might be harder as well. Also, I don't like that you can't fold the thing. So yeah. That is silly to me. But the thing that I do like about it is surprisingly comfortable.
You can't fit it in your pocket, right? There's no way in hell.
I probably could because I wear baggy pants, but
but the average Joe,
probably not. You can't just fold it and put it in your pocket anymore. Yeah. No, I mean the 2DS. Would I recommend it? Not really. To be honest, even my younger brothers, I didn't get 2DSs for them. I just got them 3DSs because I would have rather them had that and be like, okay, if the 3D hurts your eyes, just don't use the 3D. So I tell them just run them in 2D. But the thing is, they can still flip them closed and all that stuff. So even with the 2DS, you have to buy. It doesn't come with a protective pouch. You have to buy that separately.
Got you. Yeah, it was definitely like a. When I first saw it, I was just like, huh, interesting.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I thought it was a joke, and I looked into it, and then I remember a few days after it was announced, I told one of my best friends about it, and he's like, no, what, that's a thing? Because when I tell him, he believes me. And I was like, yeah, no, it's a thing. And he's like, no, I heard about it. Like, some friends were telling me. Oh, you got homies over? Or
No, I'm good. No.
But, yeah, no, what happened was he was telling me. No, I was telling him about it, and I said, yeah, no, the 2DS is a thing. And he was saying, no way. So I ended up looking up the video that Nintendo had, and I showed him, and his jaw just dropped, and I was watching his reaction the whole time, and I just busted out laughing. He's like, no, because friends were telling me about this last night, and I didn't believe them, and they told me to look it up, and I didn't want to look it up because I thought they were pulling a prank on me.
Yeah, dude, it literally, like... Nintendo does some bizarre shit. That's all I can say. Like, Nintendo has fucking balls.
Dude, I mean, for one system, they have the 3DS, the 3DS XL, the new 3DS, the new 3DS XL, and the 2DS. I hate the term new. I hate the new 3DS. I hate that name.
Yeah, that's a pretty dumb name.
Yeah. Fun fact, though, and this is, I guess, some good hypothesis right here as well, too. But one of my best friends, him and I were talking about this. He knows a lot more about Japanese culture than I do. And he said the main reason why, at least he believes, and he's even looked into this a bit, I believe, but the main reason why they called it the new 3DS is not only it was a hardware refresh, of course, but because for some reason in Japan, American-type phrases and English phrases and words they get plastered onto products and they're hot sales.
Huh.
Yeah. It's kind of like here, for example, how people get like Asian characters like tattooed on them because they look really cool. And then like people who speak Japanese or Chinese or Korean or whatever that tattoo is in, they just think it's the most ridiculous thing because you're literally just getting a word tattooed on you. It's kind of like that over there. Like the Nintendo 3DS, yeah, okay, but the new 3DS, and it's an English word that's now attached to this product, and that really sells there.
Got you. So it's just a marketing ploy or marketing,
Exactly,
that's all this.
which works excellent in Japan, but you bring it elsewhere and it's like, what the fuck is this?
Stupid. Like at least
Yeah.
to us, it just seems dumb and like not creative at all.
Well, I mean that's how a lot of even like anime and some other things is as well too, where it's like, oh, in Japan this is normal. Then other places it's like, is this like underage rape or what is this?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like super unacceptable, like the cultural differences and stuff like that.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
bringing up. And to anybody who's thinking I'm bashing on them, listen, dude, I'm part Japanese. Okay, I can bash them myself, and this is
hmm.
just factual stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 3DS has definitely got a lot going on right
Yeah,
now. But
dude, it's incredible. So even right now, I guess I can even explain this too, because there's been, it's awesome because there's been, and thank you to people who are doing this, but there's been people who've been commenting in the comment section of my videos who've even educated me on this. But the reason why so many people, the main thing right now is downgrading to 9.2, is because 9.2, it's the last firmware that was completely open-ended. You could use any type of exploits on there, and most exploits are developed for that firmware. And another reason why is because not only it was so common and used for so long, but also it has some other benefits. One of the main ones being that the system uses ARM 9 and ARM 11 type access to utilize these tools, games, things like that. And on firmware 10.3, you only have ARM 11 access, while as on firmware 9.2, you have ARM 9 and ARM 11 access, which ARM 9, you can do much more with it, and it's much more flexible for what modders want to do.
got you. So it gives you full, like, more access to different things.
Pretty much, I mean, in short, yeah, you get, I don't want to say you get complete access, because I feel like somebody might correct me on that if I'm wrong, but no,
Yeah.
you get much more access on 9.2 with ARM 9 as opposed to ARM 11 exclusively.
Got you. Okay. And then you were saying that, in your opinion, like just in case anyone's listening wants to know, like what is, in your opinion, the best method to go for exploitation with with a downgrader? Like
Oh,
what form of hacks?
right now, let's see. I would say if you could, because a free method would be if you could do it, browser hacks. And then through browser hacks, you install menu hacks. And then once you downgrade, if you can use SafeSys Updater to downgrade, you should be good to go. If you can't, no matter what you do, just use regular sys updater. Just make sure you have the latest version. And then once you get downgraded and everything, you have to install a custom firmware, set up EMU NAND and all that, which all this stuff you had to do. It's awesome. You had to do all this stuff with a flash cart before, but now you don't need to anymore. So it's quite nice that you could do it all for free at this point. But you will still need an entry point no matter what. So like that browser hacks entry point, that is a good free method. But for example, I never got browser hacks working on my 2DS, but I did have browser hacks working on my new 3DS.
Huh.
Yeah, so
No,
it's maybe it was just something I was messing up, but all I know is I entered the website on my new 3DS. It immediately crashed the system. It was good to go. While I was on the 2DS, no matter what I did, I tried all the little intricate steps, never got it working. And I was like, you know what? I have Cubic Ninja right here. Screw it. I'll just use Ninjax.
yeah, I wonder if it's just like maybe touchy feely on certain consoles or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
there's all.
handhelds. I don't know if I want to call it consoles, but
Of
handhelds.
course. Oh, another thing too with all the custom firmwares, because now on top of that, because like EMU NAND, for anyone that doesn't know, your system, you have SysNAND on there, right? That's what it's referred to. That's the actual firmware that's built into the system itself that you own. Then you can take EMU NAND, which you can set up, and it partitions off about a gigabyte of space on your SD card. So you have a gigabyte of space that is now reserved for a emulated NAND on there, which is what EMU NAND is called. That's a lot like dual booting your system. So the point to that is now you are now able to use two separate NANDs. So you can be fully updated and you can have all the most up-to-date, you can run all the latest games. You can hopefully access eShop. You can get the latest features that are rolled out on 3DS as well, too, through system updates. But you still retain 9.2 because you can still use that exploit and everything with that.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome because, like I said, I know a decent amount about 3DS stuff, and I've like done like I did the Ninja exploit, but I
Oh, dude,
definitely have not been following like 100%. Like that's so badass.
no,
To like
it's so intricate, man. It's amazing. It's so fascinating when you look into all of it.
yeah, it's insane like what people
Mm-hmm.
have done and what people have been able to do with this like handheld.
Exactly. So yeah, what I do with all of my systems, I have them set up so that they cold boot. So when you turn them on and you don't touch anything, they automatically boot up into my EMU NAND. And that way, if anybody randomly gets a hold of my system, they're not if they accidentally update it, they're going to update EMU NAND. If they brick something, I can just format EMU NAND and start over again, or I can recover it, anything like that. Because my sysnand is never touched. As long as you don't touch your sysnand, your system will stay exploitable.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, so they have that, and then another big thing in regards to that, so the old 3DS, because a lot of this, honestly, Gateway, now, Gateway does take, some stuff from the Homebrew community, but the people at Gateway are also quite smart. A lot of people like to put Gateway down. I don't put them down because what they've done is actually pretty neat. The thing is they just charge money for it. A lot of people don't want to pay for the flash card for that initial, price of entry and everything. But for a while, you could only run the latest version of EMU NAND, so the latest firmware on EMU NAND on a 2DS or an old 3DS. And the new 3DS was only locked at 9.5. So now this is actually going to be something that I think Gateway is going to be ripping off from, or unless they developed it and it got leaked. But I think they're probably taking this idea here because the code is going to be out there. But in short, there were some new keys that were either discovered or leaked out, which means that now if you're on the new 3DS, you can actually run EMU NANDs that are past 9.5, so you can update past 9.5 on there. So right now I have a 10.3 EMU NAND on my new 3DS.
That's tight.
Yep.
That is so cool.
Yep. Kind of like, again, like I relate a lot of this to the PS3 scene because it's all very similar. But even with the PS3, for the longest time, people were stuck on modified 3.55 firmwares. And then when the keys started leaking out, I think when the private keys and all that started leaking out, now any new PS3 firmware that comes out, they're immediately able to make a custom firmware based off of that.
Because those keys are not changeable, basically?
Pretty much, yeah. I guess the best way, because even I myself, I don't fully understand it. I think I have a good amount of knowledge of it, though.
Yeah.
But in short, I'm trying to, again, simplify as best I can. Those are like the private system keys that were used, and they were discovered, they were leaked out and everything. So now, again, as I said, it's like, those keys will not change. They could try and change some things within the firmware, but as long as you have those keys, you can still access and decrypt the firmwares.
These are the same keys that were leaked out back, we're talking like GeoHot days?
Those ones, those were some big keys, of course. Those were for the actual system itself. I guess these ones are for how the firmware is set up.
Got you. Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
I remember for the longest time you had to use you had to keep your system on 3.55, and you had to either install a custom firmware 3.55 or a patched version, or you had to use an application like Fuck PSN, or that was an actual app, but there were other applications that you had to use so you could install them. And then it's like, okay, guys, before this gets patched, you all need to go in and download all the free DLC you can. Yeah, because I mean, Sony catches on really quickly. They're like, wait a minute, why is it this resurgence of like 3.55 PS3s on our network when the latest update is like 4.1?
Got you. That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, no, now that is a thing. So the 3DS is just completely cracked open again. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to see these developments.
Do you want to move on briefly to the PS4?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I've said my spiel on the not the PS3. Talking about it, man.
Yeah, you have been talking about the PS3 a lot, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. It's just, I don't like the PS3 that much, but the scenes are so similar. But I do like the 3DS, so I mean, I guess it works out.
Yeah, well, it's cool to be able to relate the two back and forth for people that maybe do know PS3 stuff and
Of course.
the 3DS stuff, or vice versa, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the article that we found today, or?
Sure, you go ahead, because I know you had found it first, and you've been more the article person.
Okay, yeah, this is true. So, yeah, basically today I was just going to see if there's any updates when it came to the PS4 being exploited or jailbroken, and there was a article over on Seven Sins, basically titled "CTURT publishes new PS4 kernel exploit details," and I'm even briefly trying to remember, but I know that basically CTURT was the one that was at the convention, or no, was that Failed Overflow?
Fail Overflow was at the convention. CTURT
Okay.
is not affiliated with Fail.
Okay, so Fail Overflow were the ones that were running Linux at the convention.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Okay, so CTURT though basically was working on or I believe hacked the PS4 or has a method of hacking, right? Is what I remember.
Yeah.
And I think he was talking about potentially releasing something, but not. He didn't want to. He basically doesn't want piracy.
He released his whole method. He showed how he did everything and all that, but he never ended up releasing a explicit exploit.
Got you, because again, he doesn't want to hand over something that's probably going to be used for piracy, is what he was
Yeah,
saying.
and the reason being as well too, this is something that really scares everyone is the crazy thing. But GeoHot, he did the same thing with the PS3, and he got sued to
Prosecuted,
oblivion.
yeah.
Yeah, now granted they did settle, but one of the settlements was he can never touch or modify. I mean, I'm saying touch. They pretty much said that, but I know it's not literally he can't touch a system, but roughly speaking, he cannot touch another Sony anything, or else he's going to get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just like, you're not going to touch our phones, our systems, our TVs, nothing.
So there's potentially a chance that the reason why he's not doing this or like releasing it specifically is because there's some kind of fear of repercussion from
Yeah,
Sony.
but even the big thing with that was that it wasn't just that he released custom firmware, he released the system
keys.
keys.
Yeah.
And that's what pissed them off.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
I do remember that actually. Didn't he make a fucking rap
He
too?
did make a rap saying that he was being sued by Sony. It was great.
It was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I remember watching that with my brother. But
He even referenced at one point in the rap, he referenced a website. I don't remember what it was called, but he referenced a website that also got sued and shut down. They got several cease and desists from Sony because when the PSP was only available in Japan, they were buying PSPs, like tons of like bricks of them, and then they were reselling them on their website with worldwide shipping.
probably for a pretty hefty increase in.
I mean, of course,
right?
they were going to do that just so they could get that money, but Sony was not selling them outside Japan, so they were the first. Technically, they were the first retailer to sell the PSP outside of Japan.
Got you, but they weren't authorized retailer.
They
sure.
weren't authorized at all,
Yeah.
and Sony was not happy about that.
No, good old Sony.
Good old Sony. Yeah, your TVs suck now, Sony.
Hey, my main TV in our house is a Sony.
I'm sorry, their TVs aren't as good as what they used to be. Like Sony used to be the number one in electronics. They had the best TVs, the best headphones, the best CD players, everything like that. And now it's just like now you just look at them, you're like, well, I mean, it's nice, but it's definitely overpriced for what you're getting when I can get the same thing for like $400 less.
Yeah. Well, our main TV we probably got like 10 years ago, and it was a Sony Bravia, and it was a fucking nice TV, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I get what you're saying, because like, well, for me, like some of the main real quick like TVs I like Samsung I think makes really nice TVs and monitors. My buddy has one that I think it looks bitchin'. And I like Acer a lot too, and Asus, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at Asus monitor right now as we speak.
Yeah, they're definitely there. I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of companies to me that make pretty solid monitors and stuff. But I get what you're saying, because at one point Sony was like, "Oh shit, it's a Sony!" Like it was like the fucking elite.
Yeah, no, they were the name in electronics. They're not so much anymore because it's like they even sold off. I think they sold off their Vio division because it just wasn't making that much money.
Huh? No shit.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that. I do like. Sony's got these like the PS4 TVs. Have you seen those?
You're talking with PlayStation Now on them?
Is that what it is? I thought you could stream your fucking game from like your console to the TV.
That would be PlayStation Now.
Oh, it is PlayStation
And you could
Now.
still do that through the TV as well. It's kind of like they took the the PlayStation TV, and they like integrated it into the TV itself.
Oh, got you. So it's not even that big of a deal because you can get the standalone thing.
Exactly.
Ah. I saw it and was like, how fucking cool. Like, anyways, but yeah, so basically, I know that there was another hacker that I saw or read. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but he was basically saying that he had access. It was like full kernel access, I believe.
Do you know which person that was?
Not off the top of my head, do you?
No, I don't.
I
know of what's been going on with CTRT, and I know of what's been going on with Fail Overflow, which I'd also like to discuss Fail Overflow at some point.
Yeah, give me well, you can if you want to get going. Sure. Say something about that while I'm looking this up real quick.
Sure. So this was like multinational news. I'm sure everyone knows about this at this point. That's how I knew about it. But the thing is with Fail Overflow, they went to I think it was 33C3, it's a big hacking convention. Every single year the number changes, so it still says C3, but this was the 33rd year they were doing it, and Fail Overflow was invited, as a special guest, and they brought a PS4 up on stage, and as you all are probably guessing, they figured out something to do with the PS4, so what they ended up doing was they were able to get Linux running on the PS4, so they had a ported version of PS4 of Linux running on the PS4, Pretty sure this was on a 1.76 system or below, so you again need to get an older system that hasn't been updated in a while. But there was that available, and the impressive thing is, I mean, it worked very well. The sound was there too; it looked great. They were able to open up a Game Boy emulator, or I think it was a Game Boy Advance emulator, and they were able to play a slightly modified version of Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah, so I mean, they had this thing, fully working. They're really turning this into a workstation. I think the only thing was there was a few other features that didn't work. Like, I don't remember if Wi-Fi worked. I don't think like certain 3D things worked. But even right after that conference, they end up getting 3D working. So it's definitely really neat to see how well it worked out. Now, one thing as well, which I actually wanted to discuss with you, is they did say, they came out and they said, yeah, the PS4 security is not good, and all you need to do is poke around in it a little bit, and you'll see why. But I want to know, is this, when they said it's, the security is not that good, now you're seeing a few other people, hack it up and everything, is this really a case of the security not being that good, or is it a case of just there's so many systems out there and there's so many hackers that are now looking at these systems and they have that previous console and modding and hacking experience?
That's a fantastic question, and I would say probably a little bit of both potentially. I definitely think that the modding scene, or modding in general, has gotten like widely more popular, and I don't know whether. I mean, I would say the internet is definitely the number one thing now. Like, the information is so readily available. There's so many forums. You've got YouTube videos where people are showing off mods and things like that, and people getting credit, and people. I mean, some of the best, even though again this isn't really hardware hacking, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of certain games, like some of the mods actually become standalone games because modding is such a big thing. And
Yeah, like Gary's Mod and DayZ, for example.
yeah, exactly. So, God, I would say, yeah, like I'd say it's probably a little bit of both.
I,
Yeah, that's my opinion.
I would agree with you on that because, like, for example, when I think fail overflow, I mean, I'm sure the architecture and everything is easy for them, but these are also the people that worked on the PS3 and they do have quite a bit of experience. So even for me, for example, there's quite a few things I do for the first time and they're much easier to me than they would be for other people because I've had similar types of experiences. But then again, when it comes to the security, I also feel like it could be weaker security, it very well could be, but I also feel like it's because just factually, you look at the numbers, there are a lot more PlayStation 4s that have been sold than a lot more Xbox Ones. That means more people have the PlayStation 4, they've been exposed to it. That also includes hackers and modders, so there's been more watchful eyes upon it. While as with the Xbox One, that's the last one to really come out, though. The only people, unless somebody announces something, the only people that have really come out and said, yeah, we're working on it, have been, C4EVA, who's affiliated with Team Executor, and both of them have been dead silent for about a year and a half. So either they've given up or they're working on something really, really big that they're going to charge a pretty penny for.
Yeah, which I mean, there hasn't been like any hints at all.
Exactly.
Nothing, dude. Like, if there is something going on, they're keeping that shit like super
And
under
I,
the
and I wouldn't
radar.
blame them. And then I was going to say another thing for people that say, oh, well, the Wii U sold the least and all that. Well, here's the thing. The Wii U's also had another year under its belt, and that has been proven to have, much lower security than either of these two consoles that have been out. And on top of that, Fail Overflow did hack up the Wii U quite early into its life cycle, but they never released anything.
I do remember actually hearing your Stinks thing about that.
Yep.
That was like right, like really
Yeah,
close.
they did the exact same thing with the Vita. They came out and they said, we've completely hacked it up, but they said we will not be releasing the exploits, at least for the time being, because it is so early into the life cycle, and we want these systems to succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I am so bummed I'm not finding this fucking article. I'm still trying to find, but I know that somebody was tweeting about it, and I thought that I had linked back to it, but I guess that I didn't link back to it. I linked back to a different article, so I'll have to see potentially later on if I can find it. I will comment it down below. But
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead, comment the articles, do
yeah,
so, please.
yeah, I'll just do that later on. But yeah, basically there was an article posted. Well, today 118. I don't know, if the video goes up today or
I'm gonna try and make it go out today, even if I'm high on this cough syrup, man.
Yeah, so
I'm feeling good.
But just so that you guys have like a reference point, 118 is when this article was posted, and basically it's on 7sins. I said it's called CTERP publishes new PS4 kernel exploit details. It says that the exploit has been patched around firmware 2.0, so will not be useful for anyone on the latest firmware. So again, basically like what Mr. Mario said when he was talking earlier, is that you have to be on I'm sure it uses the web browser or WebKit exploit, which is what 1.76. So you've got to be again below 2.0. And it says basically that C-Turd he's still working on the PS4. He's apparently actively working on it with another group of hackers. You actually, Mr. Mario, might have more information in your article because I can't log into Seven Sins. One of my old accounts got banned forever ago, and so I'm
What
like,
did
it
you
says,
do?
dude, I couldn't tell you. It's been like 4 or 5 years. I'm pretty sure I was just trolling or something like that.
Gotcha. There's a
Yeah,
lot of people that are banned on this site, though, so I don't
yeah.
know. I guess they're
So,
banned happy.
but basically. There is another group called how the fuck do you say this? This is
I I don't QWERTY or
or
your lop or
yeah,
nope.
whatever. Which is basically I guess another group saying there's a ton of attack surface on the PS4. Literally, their tweet quote unquote says Sony is fucking retarded. Why would anyone do a kernel mode dynamic linker? That's literally a fuck ton of attack surface. Basically, it says this seems to confirm what was stated a few weeks ago that they have no doubt that vulnerabilities in the latest firmware can be found without too much trouble. The exploit itself lies in function, and it says I'm not going to read the file name. You can look at it yourself if you want. And some of its internal calls, such as copy and full details on the exploit, or full details can be found in, and there's a link below. So basically, it's saying here that CTURT is able to work on proof of concepts. As different like entry points from using his computer actually instead of actually having to use a SDK from what I'm seeing here. I don't really want to like read the whole article to you guys, so I'll link you guys to it basically down below. But it looks like there's definitely like Mr. Mario was saying, there's a shitload of stuff that's like being worked on with the PS4. So I would say it's only a matter of time before somebody decides to actually leak a public exploit that does give you full access.
Yeah,
You
we'll
know,
we'll see. We'll wait for it. I mean, it's just gonna be a matter of time, honestly, right now, because a lot of people are just like, "Oh yeah, leak it out, leak it out." It's like, dude, you can't do much with it right now, man. Just wait, just hold on. It's gonna come.
yeah, well, I think what people don't realize is that even if they leaked it out without actual other people creating tools that allow you to do stuff with it, it's not gonna do shit.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's why there's been a lot of people that they try, and I don't know, they just try and like bum people out, or they look at it in a super negative way. There's like, oh, there's nothing you could do with it right now. I'm like, exactly, because there's nothing available. There's not really many developers.
yeah,
But look at all these other scenes. Like there was nothing you could do with them. Then some people say, oh, you have to get a really old PS4 to do this. I'm like, well, I'm looking over at the 3DS and the PS3 scenes. They seem to be doing pretty well.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know, and I still feel like that either another exploit will be found for something after 1.76 or like another method, um, or there'll be a way to downgrade. I have pretty strong faith in one of those two things happening.
Yeah, we'll wait and see, man. We'll wait and see. I don't know about a downgrade, but I think we're gonna see stuff on 1.76 running natively first, and then maybe later on if we can get a downgrade. Oh, that'd be fantastic. I wouldn't have anything against that. But people are also wanting to see these ported over to newer firmwares.
Yeah, yeah. I just well, I don't know how hard do you think it is to get your hands on 1.76? Because you have one, right?
No, I don't. But
Oh,
I
you
mean,
don't?
I think you can. It's gonna be harder now because of all the
Information out.
yeah, because of all the information, everything. But even when it first came out, the systems you could still get them, but they were like $400.
Yeah, I
Because
remember.
it was you had to get like a new system, or you can get an old one that you verified had a 1.76, but it was mostly people getting new systems, and then what would happen on there? Yeah, no, they would get a new system, and it was like a special edition bundle of some kind.
Yeah, wasn't it Last of Us?
Last of Us bundle, there were several others as well.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just like with like Ninjax, how like the price got jacked up on that game super
Oh
quick.
my god,
Dude.
I remember. Yeah, no, that was a $5 game went up to like 60, $70 at sometimes even 100, and then the other one was Ocarina of Time 3D hacks, and that was interesting because I remember that was a harder one to do because you had to get a way of getting the save game over to that cartridge, which meant you had to buy another piece of hardware, whether it be a gateway or a save dongle. But that was already a game that was kind of hard to find, and it was a good game too. It was a first-party Nintendo game, Ocarina of Time. So
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things. Well, if you didn't already have it, you should probably own it as a 3DS owner. And if you don't own it, you're gonna have to pay, $35 for a used copy of it when it was originally $40. But then that also went up in price as well too.
Yeah, but at least that game is like nobody had Cubic Ninja. I don't
Oh yeah,
think.
nobody had Cubic. I remember because I linked it to you because I just found copies of it by the truckload on eBay for like $5 when the exploit was first announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was one page, they had like 30 copies of it. I literally refreshed the page a minute later, all of them were gone. Yeah,
Craziness,
because
dude.
people just started buying them. I'm sure people bought like 10 of them at once because they were such cheap games.
Yeah, just to resell or whatever, or install or something like that.
A best friend of mine and we had talked about that because he also got a copy of it, and he was like, well, worst case, if you don't get your copy, I'll share mine with you. And I appreciated that. But when we saw that, he was just like, damn it, Danny, I told you this. I told you we should have gotten like 20 copies of them and sold them all.
Right.
And I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I knew it was going to go up in price. I'm like, I couldn't be arsed to do it, honestly.
Yeah, I think I only paid like, I don't know, it was a couple bucks for mine. I got it like instantly, dude.
Yeah, because I remember you paid a little bit more than I did because I linked it to you that night, but you waited a few hours. So I think you paid like $7 or $8, but still.
Yeah, it was that to me that was like no big deal.
Yeah, it was like by the time the next day or the day after, it was like a $50 game again.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit, I should have just bought them. Like, I guess I could have bought like 10 and then turned them around and flipped them for double, triple the cost and made some money off of that.
Exactly.
I've random too, but like I was on my camping trip a while back, and I forgot that I had unpatched or like I didn't have Ninjax set up on my DS for whatever reason. I don't remember what I had done to like get rid of it. But
you might have deleted the files on your SD card or something.
yeah, that's probably what I did then. So I was stuck with actually playing Ninjax. Oh, I mean not Ninjax, playing Cubic Ninja. Oh my god, dude, that game fucking blows.
Yeah, it's such a bad, like everyone said it's a bad game, and
even
it's funny because my buddy of mine, he was busy, so I don't get this, but he was too busy at the time to try out Ninjax, so for some reason he decided to play Cubic Ninja, and he did tell me, because he's a developer as well, he's like, Danny, normally I'm pretty lenient and lax when it comes to games, but no, Cubic Ninja is horrible.
This game just fucking sucks,
I've still never played Cubic Ninja.
Oh man, you're not missing out.
I've run Ninjax 2.5, and yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, and Region 3 and Region 4 on there, but I've never played Cubic Ninja.
Yeah, it's oh god, be honest, it's fucking rough, dude. It is so bad. But
it's a great exploit game, though.
Yeah, definitely. That's a fact. It's cool that again it was that game that was able to be bought for so damn cheap because nobody wanted it. And I'm sure that there was just like an abundance of used copies out there for a while.
Well, it's like you have this like $4 game, and it's like, okay, for some reason this game has a really obscure feature that nobody uses where you're able to scan a QR code, and if we can exploit that, let's get it working. I just thought that was hilarious. It's like, why is it that like the game that has like the best easy entry point exploit feature is like the cheapest game out there that nobody likes?
Right? No, I thought that was like so cool. Like, and just like lucky, and I don't know. That's freaking awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Even people that bought it at a ripoff price of like $20. Oh no, dude, you flip that for 60, you're good.
I was like geeking out, dude, when I saw the whole like QR code to get everything working. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, modding has come a long way. Like,
yep. Oh, dude, it was fantastic. Because what that
so...
does is it pulls a website, and then when it accesses that website, it injected the code into the system at the right points and everything from that site to crash it.
Yeah.
And then it pretty much tells it, hey, boot this file right here. And it boots it, and bam, you have Homebrew Launcher.
Yeah, so cool, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Do you briefly then wanted to talk about the Wii U stuff?
Absolutely. We said we were going to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so for anybody that hasn't really been following the Wii U, now the last time I talked about the Wii U, I never made a tutorial or anything, but there's one YouTube user, his name is Eric Zander. I did link to his tutorial because he had a great one where he showed loading. Now, you need a Wii U that's on version 5.3.2 or lower, but with the Wii U, what's been going on with that is there's now, kernel level exploits for that where you're actually able to run Homebrew. It's quite limited, though. There's really not anything Homebrew worthwhile on there except for loading, which is a tool that you can use to load games off a SD card, but it's very rough around the edges. You have to use a browser exploit of some kind. It crashes a bunch when you do get it working. There's several games that do crash. They don't work properly. You can't use updates on there. Sometimes you can. There's so many different variants and forks of loading and modifications as well too. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't is what I'm trying to say, but for anybody who was stuck on the latest firmware, which was 5.5 or 5.5.1, you couldn't really do anything. Now, there's been some things that have come out where I know, Daniel, you covered a topic, didn't you, where there was supposed to be some that was released on Christmas?
Yeah, he was saying that was his target goal, was to release it on Christmas. Give me a second. I don't know his name off the top of my head.
Okay. There was one modder who said that they were going to, hopefully they were trying to target around Christmas. It never came out. Still has not come out to this day. but I think it was like Hikem or something like that. I want to say. Did it start with an H?
Sounds correct.
Pretty
Hold
much.
on.
I do know this one guy who is Hykem, Hykem. He was working on it and he had an exploit, but then what ended up happening was just recently 5.5.1 ended up getting released, which is the latest firmware update. So then when that came out, who was it? Smealum and his team, the people that they work essentially on the 3DS, they actually end up releasing browser hacks and a few other modifications, get this working on the Wii U. Because their logic was, oh, well, now the latest firmware is patched, so we can put this out. It's no big deal. Funny thing is, it still works on 5.1. So technically now on both Nintendo systems at this point in time, the latest firmwares that are out are both exploitable.
Still looking for, still looking for his name.
I'll go ahead and keep talking. But
Yeah.
no, so what happened then on top of this was, we had that going on. Now, if you're on 5.3.2, you're still good to go. If you're on 5.4 now, you now have kernel level access, I believe. But if you're on 5.5 or 5.5.1, you only have Userland access, which essentially means you do have homebrew access. You can exploit the system, but it's not going to be as extensive as if you were on a lower firmware.
And there's actually a I don't remember where I saw it actually. I think it was on GBA 10, but it basically showed you what things you could do versus couldn't do with what was the thing you just said there? The name of it? It's called the access.
Mm-hmm.
No, but what's it called? There's two different types of access. The one that's not as
Excuse me. Wait, are you talking about the Wii U?
yeah.
Browser hacks? That's the only one I know of, at least.
No, it's not an exploit, but basically it's the type that basically gives you less access. Like it allows you to do some things. You just said it. It's like for
Userland?
5.5 Userland. There we go. That's what I
Yeah.
was talking about. Yeah, so like there's basically an article that says what things you can do with Userland and what things you can't do with Userland for those that are like maybe interested in seeing whether it's something they'd even want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I haven't really looked into it too much, but that's at least been a thing out there. So now, at least Wii U is kind of coming a long way, and we're still waiting all those drive emulators, and no drive emulators ever came out.
Yeah. There was a bunch of fucking didn't XKey say they were gonna do one?
Yeah, they were going to do the Wii Key U, and I even had that pre-order, and I actually canceled my pre-order because I was like, dude, this has been in the works for like a year and a half, and there's still nothing.
They haven't announced any Hykem, yep.
Hykem, okay.
Yep, Hykem, if that's it. So yeah, so hopefully I mean, I don't know. It says that he's still basically working on it. I don't know. I mean, it's like almost a month after his original announce on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are a month after, yeah, because this article was when was it? This article
And
was
also,
back-
I'm on Twitter right now as we're talking, so this is going to be a few hours old by the time this video gets out, hopefully. But let's see, Smealum, he has said apparently Nintendo made it so you can't launch games that have an update unless you update them on 10.4. So if you update Bye Bye Iron Hacks, which I think is pretty shitty, but whatever. As people have been pointing out, it's not on all games. Just Ironfall, still a dick move like always. So it looks like 10.4 is now officially out for the 3DS.
it's funny because I was just on his Twitter right now and saw him talk about something, but I didn't see that actual
23 minutes ago, right now
Oh,
at least.
no
so.
shit.
Yeah, it's going to be, by the time this goes out, it's going to be, much later, but still.
10.4.
It also looks like, speaking on the Wii U, he's also released this too, but this is a few days ago. Found this going through Wii U system logs. Nintendo engineers reference game is on point, and actually in these system logs, they referenced Yoshi's Cookie for the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I did see that.
That's pretty
as
funny.
Shit. Yeah, because like games from what's the year, like 90 or
Somewhere in the 90s.
yeah,
It looks like 1992. Yep.
yeah, the year I was born.
Mm.
Yeah, I did see that article.
Yep. So, yeah, no, it is official now. So you will have to, 10.4. So now, sorry, you guys can't update to 10.3 through normal means.
That's funny that it just was launched like right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A few hours ago, at least. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think, were you talking about the iOSU kernel? Were you thinking of that for the Wii U or not? Because Smealum actually he didn't release that, but he did show that he was able to access the iOSU kernel, which was
Yeah,
like
I
the
think-
keys and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I think that is what I was talking about. I just don't know off like the top of my head. I don't know like the exact names of everything. I have to like reference stuff just because I don't know. Like before, it was easier when I was focused on one console, but now
Now you have to focus on so many consoles. And honestly, the only reason why I have the upper hand is because last week I pretty much dedicated myself after work to 3DS stuff. So
you said like a madman, dude, knocking out those tutorials.
Yeah. Well, hey, it was worth it. It was fun.
Yeah, those are definitely going to be useful for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, I gotta do something fun with you right now. Let's place a bet. Okay, not a bet.
Okay.
Just there's nothing on the line here.
I'm falling asleep here, but okay.
Okay, if you had to put money on it, which you don't, when do you think that PS4 kernel exploit will actually be released to the general public?
August.
Really? You think that far?
I'm hoping so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say March, dude. I was gonna say March, like sometime March. I mean, again, like I have no fucking idea. I just curious, like
I don't know either. I just kind of I just did 6 months plus one in my head.
I like it. Yeah,
because it's kind of at the point now where it's not like they're just teasing things. Like, no, there's actually things that are really going on here, and hopefully in August or in March we'll have something really awesome to report.
I'm gonna use your word. Something will come into fruition.
Fruition.
That's your word, man.
I like that word, man.
Oh, it's a solid word. So NyQuil's definitely kicking in.
Yeah. No, I wasn't loopy, but it's like I'm just kind of sitting here. I'm like, oh, my eyes are very comfortable when they're closed.
That's funny as shit. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like, it's been going on for a while, right?
It's been about an hour. I think this podcast is clocking in at a little less than an hour at this point.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. If you got anything else to add, you definitely, again, know more about this topic with the Wii U than I do.
Don't vote for Donald Trump. Please, he's not the president America needs.
Hillary 2016.
By the way, I will throw this in, though, because I was going to throw it in with the 3DS stuff, but I forgot to. It's kind of at the ass end of this podcast or whatever. Some people had asked me, what are the differences between, the different custom firmwares? Like, there's Raynand, there is Cakes firmware, and there is RX Tools. At this moment in time, RX Tools has not been updated to work on the new 3DS, so you can only use it on the old 3DS. What else is there? Or at least you can only use it. I think you can use it on the new 3DS up to 9.5, but you can't go any further from what I remember. And then on top of that, there's Cakes, which I don't know too much about. I've looked into it a bit, though, and it kind of seems like it's a bit of a variance between this and Raynand. Now, Raynand is essentially custom firmware. It works on old 3DS, I believe, but it also mainly works on new 3DS, and it's been fully updated as well as Cakes has. But Raynand is a simple, no frills custom firmware. There's nothing really built into it. It's custom firmware. You get what you get right there, and you're going to have to add everything on later on. While as Cakes has a few things baked into it, kind of hits the name. And then RX Tools, that has quite a few other advanced features like injection, all that stuff built right into the firmware itself. So some people have asked, what I recommend. Personally, I think RX Tools, factually, I think it is the best firmware, custom firmware. I've had great luck with it. Raynand has been excellent as well, too, but it's the most simple out of all of them. And then Cakes is somewhere in between. I don't have any experience with it, but it's somewhere in between the two.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm getting hungry, actually.
Yeah, same here. I wasn't gonna eat anything else tonight, but I'm like, I might have to eat something. So I guess I'll just eat something while this is rendering out. Because I do want to get this out tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Just so that way, like you said, too, the information is still at least.
Because all this stuff is like it's coming out so fast. I'm like, I have to get this out tonight.
Yeah, but tomorrow, everything we said might be.
Everything we said is going to be outdated tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everything you say is boring.
Yeah, your shit doesn't matter. Yeah, so once again, guys, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, kisses, Dope Swanner, and I'm out.
All right, and hey, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, sticking around, everyone, and listening. If you want to, our main thing is YouTube, so you can check out Dope Swanner's channel, where he is Dope Swanner on YouTube. I myself am Mr. Mario 2011 on YouTube, and this is where the video will be uploaded as well, too, in a audio format. If you look down below in the description, there's also going to be links for our iTunes, where you can download the MP3 from there, our other podcast site, Podbean, that was it, where you can download things there, as well as Dope Swarner's channel, and also our Facebook page where you can keep up to date on the updates that don't really happen too much. That should be our New Year's resolution, ModChat resolution. We need to update the Facebook. I try and post on there, man.
You do. It's absolutely, no, you're 100%. I'm not, no denying saying that, like, oh no, it's you, not me. No, like, you do really good. Hey, I totally, like, random thought, but, like, if you ever get a P.O. box, I'm gonna troll you and just get, like, a bunch of people to send you NyQuil.
Oh my god, no. That's why I'm not getting a P.O. box.
Yeah.
I don't want You know, the reason why side tangent, the reason why I'm not getting a P.O. box, I've talked with people about this, is because I know I'm gonna say on there, I'm gonna be like, because, you know, I don't sell systems, I don't modify systems, you know, for service or anything like that unless I really know the person. But there's gonna be a bunch of people, I bet, who send their Xboxes to me, be like, hey, can you mod my system? And I'm gonna say no, and then I don't want to ship it back. So then if I hold on to it, then I'm going to look like the asshole because I'm stealing their system, which they sent to me without my permission.
So, I mean, that doesn't, I guess you're not really stealing at that point.
Yeah, but then I still look like the asshole on the internet because it's like Mr. Mario has 20 Xbox that people have sent to him, and he never sent them back. And it's like, motherfucker, I say explicitly, don't send stuff to my P.O. box.
I feel like if you say that, then you shouldn't feel bad about pocketing these Xboxes.
I guess that's true. But, dude, I don't even want any more. That's a thing. So, I don't know. It might be one of those things I might get a P.O. box later on, and if people feel like sending me stuff, like if it gets to the point where there's actually people that want to send me things, I'll like, message them privately and be like, okay, here's my P.O. box. You do not have to send me anything. You really don't have to. You don't have to. But if you'd like to, it's okay. But I'll probably just keep it private because that's what actually one of my favorite YouTubers, Adam Korlick, I don't think he has a P.O. box, but that's what he does, where a lot of people send him stuff and he just tells them straight up. He's like, dude, you do not have to send anything. But if you really, really, really feel the need to send this to me, here's my address.
Yeah.
But he does that in private, too. Again, as I said, he does it through, like, email and messages and all that stuff.
I would only want a P.O. box for people to draw pictures and send me pictures. Or
like, that would be awesome.
Just like funny things, too. Like, or, like, funny cards. Or, like, just, like, shit that would make me laugh. Or, like, if anyone ever wanted, like, if there's someone artsy that wanted to do, like, fan art, too, that'd be fucking really cool.
I sent one of my friends a letter one time when he was, like, 2 minutes away from me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, no, aside from that, if you have any other recommendations, anything like that you'd like us to cover later on, please drop them down below in the comment section of this video and let us know what you thought of this episode. I think that's it. Yep. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off real this time. Later, everyone. We will be talking to you next month.
Kisses.